Good day, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the channel. In today's technical analysis coverage, we will be analyzing Stronghold. Now, in my last update, I was pointing towards a sort of top out for this impulsive move and coming back for a correction to a key level of support. Today's video is going to be updating us on this trajectory and also looking at another fractal that is pointing to much higher targets in the future. Nothing that I say is financial advice. Let's dive into the content. So what I really wanted to focus on first, in my last update, we was looking at a potential top out for SHX between the 1272 and 1618 fib extension. Now, what tends to happen is when you retrace from a low back to a local high, when you take this high out, we have these three Fibonacci extensions that I like to look for. The 1618 generally tends to be a sort of more impulsive target. The 1414 is an average, and the 1272 I would say is a conservative. So I was looking for SHX to top out between 0.028 and 0.043. We actually got the average here at the 1414 and topped out on this impulsive wave here at 0.034. Now at this point, I was saying that it's very important for SHX to potentially come back in a correction and turn this previous high in of resistance into support. Now what this would have meant from these levels would be a 40% correction back down to this sort of range. I think it was about a 42% from our local highs. If we come back down towards sort of the low 0.02 area, you're looking at a 41%. Now, there's some similarities here in the last video as well in regards to wave count. And I want to look back very quickly here at this low from August of 2024. We had this wave 1, a wave 2 higher low. We had this wave 3, a wave 4, quite a steep correction for a couple of weeks before tapping out in this wave 5 in our January 2025 highs, which we broke a few weeks ago. So what I really wanted to, again, look at here is if we're in a similar move and we're rinse repeating this sort of 5-wave count, what you could say is SHX has had this wave 1, a wave 2. This is the wave 3 where we've topped out at the 1414. Come back for this correction for a couple of weeks, which is quite sharp, just like it was in the previous wave 4 correction in sort of December 2024, and then go for a wave 5, which we could push up to higher targets. And I think I'd be looking for this 1618 and maybe a little bit more of an extension. If we do come back to this low and start rallying up, we could see a push up towards sort of 5 cents. And I think that that might just mark the local, I keep saying local top, but I think it might mark a completion of this 5-wave move before coming in for a bit more of a steeper correction leading into Q4, which is, again, where a lot of altcoins I'm expecting to pick up. But we also have to consider at the same time here, SHX's front run. Now, this is a very good sign, but what it does mean is the potential in the future, we could correct in the market whilst other coins also continue to their targets, to higher targets. Okay, there's a potential for that because we're ahead, so to speak. SHX has been performing fantastically. Okay, but nonetheless, I do think that there is still opportunity to put in this 5th wave. And just like we did in the prior sort of 5-wave move up, this corrective wave 4 was about a 38-39% correction. If we get a similar move here from this wave 4 where we're pulling back from our 1414 fib extension, you're looking at about a 41%. So these corrective pullbacks would be a very similar scenario in regards to wave count, in regards to correction depth, and then placing this last sort of 5th wave to complete this move. And again, no, this is not where I'm expecting SHX to top out, but when you get generally 5 waves up or 5 waves down, it tends to mark a sort of local top or a local bottom of that move. Now we're looking at the weekly time frame, so this is quite a zoomed out perspective. We have to understand and appreciate that SHX had a massive rally in the space of sort of from April towards August of about a 4.6x. So having a call-off period here, continuing, and then having a larger call-off period, I think would be welcoming. Yes, I think it would scare people, but I think that much higher targets, again, would come later in Q4 with that last explosive blow-off top wave that we're looking at for most altcoins in the market. Now, what I was looking at, again, in my previous video was trying to create a bearish divergence. Yes, we'd want to create one because what it means is we get our final 5th wave up, i.e. if we look at the wave 3 top out in the last 5-wave impulsive move, the stock RSI was at levels of 99 and it actually came back and then rallied up and placed a lower high before actually dropping. Now in price, you can see after the third wave 3 high, we corrected and then placed a higher high. So we actually formed a bearish divergence in price and between the stock RSI. So we had higher highs in price, lower highs in stock RSI. And I think SHX is doing something very similar now. We've got the wave 3 where we've topped out. We're coming back for this potential 40% correction. And then we're potentially looking for that 5 cent high in the next sort of few weeks, maybe heading into early sort of October. And what we could have here is, again, we're at levels of 99 in the stock RSI. If this stock RSI could sort of pick up and start to roll up again, this is where we could create lower highs in the stock RSI, but higher highs in the price. And what we would be doing is exactly what we did before. Okay, you get higher highs in price, higher highs in price. You get the lower highs in the stock RSI, lower highs in the stock RSI if this does start to pick up, and then we get the rollover and the larger correction, bringing us back down to these oversold levels, which is where we could look for the opportunity in the near future, sort of heading into October, November. Because if we do come back for this 40% correction and top out, I do think that there will be a much sort of larger correction at play here before continuing the trend. Again, this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move top out. I would at least expect some sort of A, B, C or 5 wave correction before continuing. So that's something that we need to keep our eyes on here. Now, anyway, that will be for a future video. So I think, yes, in my sort of perspective throughout this update, guys, we want to retest this previous high of January 2025. We would like to sort of come back here. We may see relief for a couple of weeks, turn that into support, and then I think go for that 5 cent push up to the 1618 fib extension. Now, these aren't my macro targets. There is another sort of chart that I'm looking at here for Stronghold, and I shared this on X not too long ago. If I just clear up my charts very quickly, excuse me. But yeah, I was looking at this sort of, you could say some sort of parabolic curve or wave count, and I think I had up here, well, let's go from the scratch, okay? You got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave correction, which kind of coincides with the start of this curve. Now, after that 5 wave correction, see, 5 waves down, we had a 5 wave up. We had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And after this 5 wave impulsive move, we then had an A, B, C correction. And we actually had this major wick here back in March 2025. And this wick brought us back down to create a flipped support resistance zone on this previous level of resistance throughout sort of October 2024, okay, heading into November 2024. So we broke out and then initially came back for it to support. And at the same time, we then, after completing the ABC, are now in the midst of creating potentially this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this would kind of, it is a different analysis to what I was just showing you before. And I was saying that this is potentially a wave 4 that we're going through. But what if we've already had the wave 5? This is an ABC back down to the flipped SR. So still the same trajectory. It hasn't changed here. Okay, this is just another way of looking at things in regards to wave count. If we have had a 5 wave move up, and this is it, we're coming back for that 40% correction. And this could then lead to another macro 5 wave leg up, which, you know, sort of heading in towards late November, December could push us towards 10 cents. So we get that 40% correction that we've been looking at, guys, and we've been monitoring, okay? Come back to this local high of, where was we? January 2025, turn that into support, and then start another macro 5 wave move up towards those 10 cent targets. And at the same time, we would be adhering to this green parabolic curve. You can see that we've got multiple points of contact here on the wave counts that are very, you know, it's sort of tying up very, very well so far. So if we can get this ABC and then have a wave 2 in the near future, sort of in November, coming back to this curve for support, we then could look for the final sort of few waves that would push us up to 10 cents. And I think that, you know, I'm happy to sit here for now and to let and see if this plays out. Again, it's not an ultimate bull run target. It's just something I'm showing you based on this fractal. So yeah, what SHX likes to do as well, as I said, look, you had this previous high here, you broke out, you came back to it for support, but you placed a lower high. This indicated depleting buying pressure. We lost the support, turned it to resistance, had the 5 waves down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We then built underneath this resistance some sort of double bottom. 1, 2. Okay, the double bottom was the wave 1 and 2, and then the wave 3 came where we got the double bottom neckline breakout, wave 4 correction, which is what I think we're in very similarly now for SHX, and then obviously that wave 5 to take us to higher targets. And I've got that wave 5. I think it was up to about 5 cents, wasn't it, that I was looking at. But again, nonetheless, I think that the larger play is towards this sort of 10 cents if this fractal continues. And it's just something that I'm looking at for a thought experiment, really. I thought it was worth sharing with you guys. But I hope you've enjoyed the content, guys. From Chart Nerd TA. Take care. Peace out.